So we hear today that the Iranian president is willing to, or is, according to FARS, this is the Iranian news agency, they're reporting that the president of Iran is willing to negotiate with Mr. Trump. He's willing to sit down and talk with the Americans, right? This is important. And obviously, it's a good step. Anybody who says it's not would be lying to you. Decent governments, decent people come together and try and break bread and find solutions. But here's the problem: there are many reasons why the Iranians should not trust the Americans, obviously. And the biggest reason of all is they had a deal with the Americans. They had a good deal with the Americans where they had essentially said, we are going to in no way continue to enrich uranium. We will shut down everything having to do with creating any type of nuclear power to be used for defensive reasons, weaponry. We'll only be using it for creating more energy for the people of Iran. That's the deal that they had. It was negotiated by Mr. Obama. May have been one of the good things Mr. Obama did. Was it perfect? Of course not. But at least it was an understanding, right? Besides, it's a treaty. When you sign a treaty, you're basically saying we're putting the full faith of the U.S. government behind this document. We have agreed to this and we believe with it. We believe in it. But then Mr. Trump comes along and says, nah, fuck the treaty. I don't believe in the treaty. I'm getting rid of the treaty. Well, then what good is a treaty? What good is governments ever coming together and agreeing on anything? If one president comes in and says yes, and then 4 years later another president comes in and says no, I don't like it. What good is a treaty? This has happened time and time again. And to be fair, Mr. Trump was responsible for that. Not to mention the assassination of Soleimani, who was probably one of the most respected people in Iran. So time and time again, the United States has lied to the Iranians. Just recently, when they said we're going to negotiate until Sunday night, and they bombed Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, or whenever the hell it was a lie, right? So there's no question. The Iranians have no reason to trust the United States on anything. But in this case, good on, President Pezeshkian and good on President Trump. They both deserve props for sitting down and trying to come up with some kind of compromise. I'm going to be covering this extensively. There is a very good possibility that I'm going to be traveling to Tehran to try and get an understanding of where the Iranians are on this. Listen, I think the Trump administration is serious about trying to avert a war, trying to avert an attack, another bombing, so to speak. And I think that the Iranians are in the same mode. And they both have their needs. Yes. Let's talk about what the two things that both sides want, right? The Americans need the Iranians, very simple, to somehow be able to show, some would argue again, that they are not going to be enriching uranium in any way, right? They are not going to be enriching uranium, and they are not going to be trying to create the ability to have nuclear weapons to use in the region. That's important, and I understand. And the Americans are right to probably argue for that. And Mr. Trump is wise, as is his administration, to be able to negotiate that point. Why they broke the treaty where that point had already been established, I don't understand, but okay, fine. We'll do it again. What do the Iranians want? The Iranians desperately need sanctions removed. The Iranian economy is in shambles. It's in shambles because the United States has destroyed the economy of Iran. This is what the United States, this is what the West often does. The United States has destroyed the economy of Cuba. The United States destroyed the economy of Venezuela. It wasn't the Venezuelan government that destroyed its own economy. As a matter of fact, the economy of Venezuela under Hugo Chavez had decreased by something like 30% of poverty. Yeah, that's right. When Venezuela was being run by a bunch of puppets trained, recruited by the CIA and in Washington, Something like 40 to 50% of the people of Venezuela were living in a state of poverty. When Chavez got back in, he got that down to like 17 to 20%. That's pretty good. Not good enough, according to the United States, who have immediately went in and has done everything possible to destroy the economy. They've made it so Venezuela can't trade with other countries. They've made it so Venezuela can't use the US dollar, can't use the SWIFT system, can't bank. Yeah, all of these things. So let's not fool ourselves, right? The MO for the United States is destroy a country's economy, and then when they're on their knees, come back and see if you can get them to do whatever you want to do. And that's essentially what's going on in Iran right now, pure and simple. But at least we know what the grounds are. We know what the Iranians want, and we know what the Americans want, right? Good. And they're going to be talking. Good. Anything to avoid a war. Here's the other problem. The other problem, and this keeps coming up, the United States are not negotiating with Iran. The problem is not between the United States and Iran. Iran does not want to hurt the United States. Never has, never wanted to. In fact, the relationship between the United States and Iran is generally neutral. Yeah, I know. Yeah, death to the empire or whatever the chance. Who cares? Chance, bad words. I mean, that's like saying, well, we're going to hate you because you have people in the United States on either the left wing or the right wing who have said awful things about us. Those are words. Essentially, Iran does not want to hurt the U.S., and the people of the United States should not in any way fear Iran. The problem is between Israel and Iran. And essentially, the United States is allowing itself to be used as a proxy. That's right. This happens so much. Think about the situation with Ukraine. Europe has a major issue with Russia, and it's using essentially Ukraine as a proxy. It's a shame that too often in our world today, we have countries that don't have the balls to fight each other directly. They have to do a go around, right? They have to use somebody else's weapons or somebody else, or it's so deceiving. It's so deceptive, right? But that's what's happening. That's the case right now. The everything that is going on between the United States and Iran has nothing the hell to do with the United States and Iran, and has everything to do with Israel and Iran, and more broadly, Israel and the entire region. Israel wants to control the region. That's why they sicked the United States on Iraq and on Syria and on Libya and on Yemen, and now they want to do the same thing on Iran. It's deceptive. It's wrong, but it is what it is, right? It's the situation that the world is dealing with right now. Bottom line, the latest news, as we can report it, is that the president of Iran and apparently the president of the United States deserve props because they're saying that they're going to hold talks. They're going to try and figure this thing out. We know both sides want, and I hope and pray, along with the rest of the world, that they're able to come to some kind of agreement. Israel won't be happy with it because they don't want Iran to get off of its knees. I think that Trump would be willing to work something out with them. We'll wait and see. We'll be following it. I'll be covering it directly. I'm Rick Sanchez. Thanks so much for being with me. We'll see you again.